she can shoot the lights out too. And now I kind of just think like putting her next to like Tessa and Agat and Isla, all players that can shoot, and then Ali, who can shoot as well as a 6'7" big, like it's going to give a lot of teams a lot of fits.
Yeah. Welcome onto the sideline, everybody. Sports director Matt Dowell and Jared Parker with you today, and we're back in the studio for the first time in forever. Jared, how are you, man?
I'm good. For you that don't know, this is my first time seeing Matt in like a month.
Literally.
So I'm good. Have you been good?
I'm good. I know. It's funny. This is the first day. We're filming this on a Monday. This is the first day me, Jared, and Claire are all at work together since the second round.
Yeah.
I think since the second round of the NCAA tournament, because we traveled, and then we've all been taking vacations to like rest and regroup. So we're all like, Jared walked in today to work and I was like, Jared, what's up, man? And so it's good to see you.
Yeah.
we had a lot to catch up on when we got to work today. But today's episode is all about South Carolina women's basketball, and we're doing a season in review episode, and also we'll look forward to next season and the coming months for South Carolina, because we did kind of want to put like a finality, a pin in our podcast, and we're gonna keep talking about this team always going forward. But when it comes to this season in particular, we wanted to have an episode to kind of wrap things up, and not in like an instant reaction way like we did at the championship. Kind of like really analyze everything and what this season meant, our thoughts on everything and everything going forward. So we're going to have a little bit of everything for you guys today. We're going to talk our overall thoughts on this past season. We've got some like categories, I don't know if we call them awards. They're not really awards. They're just kind of our thoughts on things from this season. We'll talk about the big transfer that South Carolina got, and then we'll look at the roster for next season. So this should be a nice, fun, easy listening episode for you guys as we kind of put a pin in this 2025-26 season for South Carolina women's basketball. That was once again a major success. And Jared, I know that the championship is always, the expectation, but still a huge success when you win the SEC regular season, get to the SEC tournament championship, get to the national championship. I mean, you're not going to win it every year. That's the reality.
Right.
South Carolina has to still consider this season a success.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, there's hundreds of teams in college basketball. And unfortunately, I mean, you never want to be, in that situation where it's the bridesmaid, never the bride. But, I mean, as a program, they still are a successful program.
Yeah.
And in the past 2 years, getting to the national championship, you played on the last day both seasons, both of the past seasons. So getting there, that's the goal. Winning it is the bigger goal, but you've been able to say that you haven't missed out on any basketball because you've won enough to get there.
And getting to the Natty with two teams that maybe a lot of people didn't think would get there. So, when the Final Four is your floor, you're in a good spot.
Yes.
And I do think when we talk about next season, I do think next season's roster is a championship roster. I think that they are going to be loaded going into next year. But when you think about this season in particular, Jared, just kind of what are your overall thoughts on this past year's team, this past year's season? Like, what stands out to you about this past team in particular?
Well, yeah, I liked how they kind of executed, like you said, the Final Four kind of seemed like the floor for the team, but how they executed kind of in spite of expectations.
Yeah.
It felt like with this team, at least covering it compared to last year. Last year, it was like the overall narrative seemed like they are going to get to the championship, whatever happens, whatever. But it seemed like they were going to get there. This year,
we didn't know.
We didn't know. And we didn't know what this team would look like at the start of the season. Even like some of going from losses they took, like to Oklahoma, rebounding from that, losing in the SEC championship to Texas, rebounding from that, and still having a great tournament.
Yeah.
I liked watching how this team performed in spite of obstacles and expectations, and they just balled out.
Yeah, I think you could argue that this was Dawn Staley's best coaching job ever. When you think about all the new pieces that this team had, losing Chloe before the season started, Ashland's not coming back. You have tonight. I mean, Raven was the only starter that came back from last year. You lost people to the WNBA. You lost Malaysia to the transfer portal. Like, it was a new team. And then on top of that, injury after injury after injury. I
Yes.
mean, it was all season long. It was
Yeah.
not just like the beginning or the end or here and there. It was like every single game. We had to look at the report and be like, okay, who's playing today?
Right.
And so for this team to still do what they did, to win all the games that they did, to win the SEC, which was so good this season, to get to the SEC championship, to get to the Natty, like it was an amazing effort because this year was different for me because the name of the game for South Carolina, Jared, especially in this decade, has been depth. It's been depth on depth on depth. This year's team didn't really have that. The starting five played a huge part. They were playing 30-plus minutes a game, which we have not seen from a South Carolina starting five in a long time. So it was like, okay, if those five go out, what happens? Which in years past has not been the case. You just kind of put whoever out there. And I think that's what we're going to see a little bit more of next year with the roster that South Carolina has. So I just think collectively, Dawn, the coaching staff, and the players did a fantastic job of adapting.
Yes.
And no matter what was going on, they never like got sad or down on like, oh, this person's out, we're going to lose. Like they never thought that way. They were like, well, they're out, so this group has to win, you know? And so I know that like losing in the championship was disappointing, but I still think this team had so many obstacles and it was just a different team this year than we've seen. And I think they have to be proud of the effort that they put together.
Yeah, because I was just like thinking, even when you mentioned that, like last year's team, for example, you have a starting five, not just a starting five that's experienced, a starting five literally full of champions.
Yeah.
And you go to the bench and you could go deep on the bench and everyone in there has been in championship scenarios. Not that this starting lineup didn't have any experience, but it's just so much different. Like you talk about with Tanaya Latson coming in, with Medina Okut coming in, three freshmen that, you know, we didn't know exactly. We know what Don told us about them, but we didn't know what we were getting from them. And Agat Makir being a very reliable piece down the stretch, we really did not know what we were getting from this team. So it's so much different. But then it's like you mentioned, now you go into next year and it's looking like everyone's staying. And now we know.
But yeah, this day, we're filming this again on Monday, April 20th. This is the last day for women's basketball for players to enter the portal. So unless something happens in the next like 5 hours, it looks like South Carolina is not losing anybody to the portal, which in this day and age, Jared, impressive. I mean, you know, maybe you lose one or two or whatever, but in this, some programs are losing handfuls of people. And so for South Carolina to what looks like not lose anybody, huge for this program. But I thought it was a great year. Let us know your guys' thoughts on this past season, kind of what stood out to you and how identity was the word of the year. I still don't really know what word I would give this team identity wise. Maybe just resilience and competitiveness. Like they really just had to like fight and claw their way all the way to the very end. And I think that has to be commendable. Jared, any final thoughts before we get into our awards that are not awards?
I'm ready to get into the opinion awards.
I like that. We'll call this the opinion awards. We've just got 5 categories that we're going to give out to this year's South Carolina team as we kind of wrap up the season. We have the season MVP. Jared and I will both give our opinions, and we did not discuss these, so I don't know what he's going to say. We'll do our season MVP, the most improved, the most excited for us to watch next season, who we're looking forward to seeing next year, the best game of the year, and the best win of the year, which are 2 different things. So we'll start with the season MVP. Jared, who from this South Carolina team is your MVP?
I feel like, you know, it seems obvious.
It does.
It can be. I could give it to Joyce Edwards. I think she played great, but it has to be Raven Johnson.
Yeah.
Just everything. Like her role with this team was so much more than just on the court. It is what we got from the team as well. Like they've all said, you know, Raven's our leader. And you even see it on the court too. Like the way she commanded that team, the way she led, the way she played, the way she shot from 3, that addition, like she absolutely MVP.
Absolutely. Raven is mine as well. I mean, when you watch this team, the way that they grew from day one until the Natty, that like Raven's a huge part of that. Like they do not get to where they are the whole season if Raven is not the one leading. And also she didn't get hurt this year. Of all the injuries, she was the one that really stayed healthy. And if she got hurt, that might change everything.
Different picture.
But she was leading this team the whole way through, and I'm so happy for Raven. Not only did she improve her draft stock, she got she was a top 10 pick this year. She really became one of the faces and ended her career with positivity and with recognition that I think we were all hoping she would always get. Every season we were like, what about Raven? What about Raven? And she was kind of just like pushed to the side when it comes to like national conversation. And I felt like she got that this year. She got the recognition and the love that she deserved. And I mean, it moves fast. She's already up in Indy practicing with the fever. I mean, that does not slow down for these seniors who go on to the WNBA. But yeah, Raven Johnson, both of our MVPs. I wonder if that's going to be the only one that we're in agreement with, because the rest of them are a little more like open to interpretation. Who is your most improved?
You see, this is a hard one.
That's a tough one.
It's a hard one because here's the thing. I don't think it's unfair to say Raven is also the most improved.
Okay.
I don't want to double up though. I can't. I'm not going to double up.
Spread the love.
And typically with awards like these, people usually don't double up, but I mean, it wouldn't be unfair. The way she added to her offensive game was
There's no wrong answers here, Jared.
Yeah, but I'm going to give it to Joyce Edwards, though. That's where I'll go Joyce.
Okay.
And I like Joyce, especially, I think, defensively. And this is one where it's like you got to watch to know. Defensively, I think Joyce was so much more on point. Like, if you see someone like just the freshman mistakes she made last year, like championship game was one of them.
Yeah.
And then you compare to like how she played defensively versus UConn this year. And not just that game, but as a whole, I think Joyce made a lot of strides. And then obviously the offensive strides she made are pretty obvious.
Jared, we spend too much time together, man. Again, we didn't talk about any of this before this. Joyce Edwards is also my most improved player, but my reasons are different. And it's because I feel like people are really hard on Joyce. I mean, the criticism that she got after the national championship game, I understand it, but also you have to, I think, sometimes have context with things. Like Joyce was, at least from what I know, she wasn't going to be a starter this year. That was going to be Chloe in that 4 spot. I'm assuming it was going to be Chloe at the 4 and Medina at the 5, and Joyce was going to be kind of the spark off the bench. But then Chloe gets hurt a week before the season, and suddenly Joyce Edwards is thrust into this, not just a starting role, a superstar role that maybe was a year earlier than planned. I think that the game plan was probably for this coming season to be the year where, okay, this is going to be the Joyce Edwards like breakout season, the Joyce show. But instead, she kind of had to fast track her progress a year in advance to make up for losing Chloe on a team that wasn't super deep in post play. So for me, that's why I give this to Joyce, because she had to deal with so much and kind of work on her game at a rapid pace, when the team really wasn't planning for it to go like on this timeline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think not only did she have to do that, but she handled it beautifully. Like, yeah, there are things that can get better, but also she's a sophomore, like wait until her senior season when all of these things start to click. So I just think Joyce did a beautiful job of handling all of this national attention that was on her that maybe wouldn't have been on her this year if Chloe had been healthy, and like, because Chloe, it was going to be Chloe's year to really shine. And so I think Joyce did a great job. Like you, I think her defense improved throughout the year. It was not great to start the season, and by the end, it got a lot better. And you can see her confidence and her swag get better as the year goes on. And next season, I can't wait to see Chloe and Joyce play together, with Joyce being a junior and Chloe coming back for her swan song with South Carolina. So I think Joyce, I understand the criticism after the Natty, when they get blown out, blah, blah, blah. But I think when you look at the whole picture of kind of what the hand she was dealt going into this year, it was a tough one. And I think she handled it really, really, really well. Most excited to watch next season. It's a good roster too.
That's why. I mean, there's no wrong answers here.
No.
You got a couple freshmen coming in. You've got Jordan Lee. You've got obviously all the freshmen this season making the jump. But for me, it'll be Maddie McDaniel.
Okay.
I think she's in an interesting role with Raven departing, where South Carolina has an abundance of guards, but as far as true point guards, it's Maddie.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see how she fits into that role next year, because I think she probably will have a bigger load, being that true point guard with with experience in Dawn's system,
Yeah.
of course. So I'd like to see. We know she can handle the ball. Her handles are on par.
And her
with the
turnover
best
ratio
defense.
is fantastic.
Yes, and we know she can get to the line. We know she's a scrappy defender. Now I want to see some of the more strides. Can she be a more reliable scorer?
Yeah.
Who knows? Does she have to be? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see the stride she kind of takes in that sense.
Yeah, I want to see Maddie add like a mid-range game,
Yeah.
a jumper. I think her offense is either like the 3 or driving inside. Can she have a pull-up shot? You
Yeah.
know, that when she's not going up against the bigs of all these other teams and trying to force things. But yeah, it'll be a different change in scenario for Maddie. You know, Raven has been such a huge part of this program, and now it's Maddie's turn. And, you know, Kimora Johnson is not coming to South Carolina. She's staying at Virginia. We wondered if that would be another PG coming to South Carolina. So right now, Maddie looks like the only true point guard on the season next year. I think there will be other guards that can play the one next year, but it looks like it's going to be the Maddie show, you know, running things at the start of next season. My most excited to watch next season is going to be Chloe Kitts because her return, I think she was trending so upwards after last season, and she was the SEC tournament MVP. You know, she was playing so well. And this was, you know, again, like I said with Joyce, was supposed to be the season that it was the Chloe show, and she was really maybe the face of the team along with Raven. And then that ACL tear just kind of changed everything. So I'm interested to see how Chloe rebounds from this injury and how she gets ready to go to the WNBA. And we saw her on the bench a lot this year, and, you know, she was trying to lead from that sense. But I'm just curious to see what her game looks like next season for South Carolina. And also, you know, will she start? You know, where's the it looks like the injury has been improving at a rapid pace, you know, for an ACL tear. So, you know, will she be in the starting lineup? Will she come off the bench? Will it be a slow progression, or is Chloe just going to be ready to go out of the gate? How will her and Joyce play together? Like, I'm curious to see with Chloe back in the mix how much it does impact the post play, especially because she does have a lot of experience with South Carolina. All right, we got 2 more for you, and next up is best game.
Oh, this one is hard.
This one was hard.
This one is my hardest one.
Okay. Tell me what yours is first.
I still don't have one.
You don't have one?
Yeah.
Because we both were talking before. The only thing we did talk about, we both mentioned the Texas game at the CLA, but we both said, like, the game was close, but the quality wasn't that good.
I don't know. I think, for example, like, if you love scoring, for example, there's some more score. But, like, I don't know, a scoring explosion doesn't necessarily mean it was a great game.
Because we both took this as like most competitive, like the best competitive game, not like best performance by the Gamecocks. Like that's how I took it anyway.
Right. Same here. So I don't know. It's hard. Like I'm inclined to give it to that Texas game simply because maybe not necessarily because of how fun the game was, but because, you know, they did lose in the tournament earlier that season.
Yeah, in Vegas.
You know, it was pretty much, there was an understanding that, you know, there's a lot to play for the SEC here. I will say, when they did lose to Oklahoma, that was a great game.
It was a
great game. I mean, the Gamecocks made a lot of mistakes there.
An important game, too.
But it was a great game. I'm not going to give it to that, but that one was a great game. But yeah, I think between.
So you're going to pick the Texas game?
Yeah, and then I don't know. I think of more too. Like there's a couple tournaments. Like the TCU game was. I thought that was pretty fun. But I guess it wasn't quite close enough at the end for me to pick that one.
My best game. This was tough. This was the toughest category. But I'm going to give it to the SEC tournament semifinal against LSU.
Yeah, okay, that's a better choice. Yeah, I think that's a better choice.
I said on this pod and I said I was like, I'm not looking forward to South Carolina LSU, like blah blah blah. People were like, you're a loser, like. but I had a blast at that SEC tournament semi, and it wasn't just that it was close. The quality of the game was spectacular. Like you and I were with each other at that game, and it was back and forth the whole time. Both teams were playing at such a high level. It was a packed arena. It felt like a national championship game. Like it was a special game to be a part of, and to watch the back and forth. We were like, who's gonna win? Like Malaysia's going off, and then like Raven Medina hit a huge shot. Like we just did not know what was gonna happen, and we left that game like, That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like that was an awesome game to watch. So that gets my vote.
Yeah, I think that's a better choice.
Because like I thought about even the Baton Rouge one, but I think the quality of the game in Greenville was higher than the quality of the game in Baton Rouge. Because I don't think South Carolina played that well in Baton Rouge, but the one in Greenville, I thought both teams
high level hoops.
I thought it was high level hoops, and I mean so high level at South Carolina, their legs were dead the next day. You know, against Texas, like it was just such a good SEC tournament semi, and I was like, man, this is what playoff like basketball is all about. We had a great time with that one. Our last category is best win. What do you? And this is different from best game. What do you think was the best win for South Carolina this season?
Yeah, I'm gonna assume we're gonna have the same one here, and it's gonna be the UConn one for me. Just everything from start to finish with Raven getting in foul trouble and sitting for much of the first half, and strangely enough, because I don't think we've talked about it. We haven't talked like that much at all. But when Raven went out and it was still a close game, in my head I was like, they're fine, because if they're keeping it close like this with Raven,
and that was Maddie McDaniel. Go back to Maddie.
And that was it was Maddie McDaniel. I was like, okay, if they could play like this with Raven out, once Raven comes back in the second half, they're gonna have no problem handling UConn, which was really strange because all season it seemed like UConn was the big bad wolf that nobody wanted to play.
Turns out it was UCLA.
Yeah, right. UCLA was the big bad wolf, but yeah, once it was like that, I was like eerily like sure that South Carolina was gonna win, because I'm like, there's no way they play like that without Raven, and then once she comes back, like I knew they had it handled. So that was just impressive from start to finish.
I agree. That's my best win as well. I thought South Carolina met the moment so well. I thought they defended so well. I thought it was a defensive masterclass. And they frustrated UConn in a way that we have not seen them frustrated in a very long time. They frustrated Sarah Strong. They frustrated AZ Fudd, and they made everyone else hit their shots. And that was
frustrated another person too.
Yeah, they did. It was a frustrating day for everybody involved, but also, you know, that moment, as awful as it was, and I didn't like it, it did bring attention to the tournament and to the game. But I just thought that was a big win for South Carolina to get their lick back, but also more importantly, just like for them to beat a team as good as UConn. And obviously South Carolina was a spectacular team. It was a big moment for this team to beat a team like UConn, who I think those pieces had been together a lot longer than this South Carolina team had been together. You know, so I think I just thought it was a huge win and a huge moment for this South Carolina team. I do wish they could have continued that into the championship game, but either way, the championship doesn't take away from how big that win was over UConn. But it was a spectacular season for South Carolina. And now, as we look forward, Jared, anything else you want to say before we talk transfers real quick?
Right. I don't know. Just with the way that it finished, I guess it was funny because with UCLA being the big bad wolf, in hindsight, it almost seems kind of obvious. The team that had 6 seniors that got drafted, I'm like, why didn't we just... why weren't they the big bad wolf?
I do think UCLA was very disrespected all year long, even though they were ranked number 2, you know, and they were the number 1 seed, the second number 1 overall. They were spectacular. And also, though, they met the moment beautifully. I mean, they cruised through the Big Ten. They cruised through the tournament. Like, they were deserved champs, and they made everyone, like, we all had egg on our face at the end. They said, we've been trying to tell you guys this for months on end. But again, congrats to UCLA, and it was a great season for South Carolina. And now as we look forward to this next season, South Carolina getting a major transfer in Jordan Lee, the Texas guard who has played South Carolina 7 times in her 2 years with Texas, and she performed very well in the majority of those. She had 19 in last year's Final Four against South Carolina. She scored 12 in the game, in the SEC Tournament Championship game. Jared, she's a very, very skilled guard, and this is a huge pickup for South Carolina going into next season.
Yeah, I think this is kind of like the combo guard that, like, I didn't think South Carolina specifically needed any one specific piece going into next year, but if there's someone you could add that will really help you, it is a combo guard like Jordan Lee that can handle the ball,
especially since they lost Raven and Tanaya.
Yes, and she can shoot the lights out too. And now I kind of just think like putting her next to like Tessa and Agat and Isla, all players that could shoot, and then Ali who can shoot as well as a 6'7" big, like. It's going to give a lot of teams a lot of fits.
Yeah. It does feel like this past season, Tessa was the big 3-point threat. And if she wasn't firing on all cylinders, it kind of went, okay, like, where's the other shooter coming from? And Jordan Lee is a shooter. She is another depth piece to this team. And so I'm excited to watch Jordan Lee on this team. I was excited when she was in Columbia, and I think it's a huge pickup for South Carolina. Olivia Edwards, the freshman who was committed to Tennessee, but she decommitted from them, and she was in Columbia at the same time as Jordan Lee. She also took visits to Louisville. I saw her at Texas. Yeah. So Olivia hasn't, as of this podcast, has not announced where she's going, but she is 6'3", 6'4", and she would bring some size to South Carolina as well. My big question with Olivia, I think she would fit well in this system. It's just, does she want to be a big fish in a small pond, or is she okay to play on a roster that is stacked with talent? Yeah. That's kind of my big question with Olivia.
I wouldn't fault her if she goes somewhere. Like, I think every Gamecock fan they probably want her, but I don't think anyone would be like, I don't get it. Like, we would get it.
Yeah, I think we would all understand. But I'm curious to see where Olivia chooses. But right now, Jordan Lee is the only transfer that has committed to South Carolina as of this moment. And she is a dynamic guard that is going to bring experience as well, which is something Dawn Staley also wanted to add at the guard position, was experience. So she brings points, she brings shooting, she brings a little bit of everything. And she is going to be I think she's going to fit in well with South Carolina. I really, really do. And so when we look at next season's roster as of now, Jared, here's what it looks like, and we can talk expectations real quick as we wrap up this episode. We have Maddie McDaniel, Tessa Johnson, Joyce Edwards, Adele Tack, Chloe Kitts, Isla McDowell, Agat Makir, Alicia Tornavies, Ashlyn Watkins, who as of now is supposed to be back in May, so we'll keep an update on Ashlyn. Jersey Robinson, who is of course the top 5 recruit from California, a guard position that's coming, and I'm excited to watch Jersey. When we talked most excited to watch next season, Jersey's on my list. Yes. And I'm very, very excited to see Jersey in Columbia. And then we have Kelsey Andrews, who's also an incoming freshman, a 6'4" center, and then Kaylee Wynn, who's a 6'2" power forward. So that's why when I say everybody, I mean, this maybe is a preseason.
Is that, like 14?
They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 right now with Ashlyn. Oh, wait, and then Jordan Lee, so 13.
13? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot Jordan Lee. We just talked about her. Jordan Lee's also on this roster. So that's 13 with Ashlyn, part of that conversation. So that's a lot of depth. This is the kind of South Carolina roster we've gotten accustomed to the past few seasons.
Yeah, not the 9/10 person roster, depending on the day.
So Jared, when you look at this roster, I mean, to me, this is arguably preseason number 1 worthy, and this is a championship caliber roster.
Yeah, right now I have them as the best roster in the nation. I mean, because you look at UConn. UConn's obviously going to be a threat, but I think AZ was such a big part of what they did. They're losing her. Texas lost a bunch.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people making waves in the transfer portal, but again, UCLA lost a bunch. So when I look at a team that both retained, not just retained, but then added, it's South Carolina's the early number 1 for me.
I think if I had to do a top 3 right now, it would be South Carolina, UConn, and then Southern Cal is also going to be in that conversation. Juju's going to be back next season. They got Jazzy Davidson. They've added some transfers. They've got a great freshman incoming class. Those 2 teams are going to play in Greenville at the beginning of next season. I can't wait for that game. So I think right now those 3 look like the best on paper. Of course, things can change as we go forward. Texas will be there. LSU is going to be good. We'll see a lot of the same faces and the same logos as far as elite teams, but those are the ones that are standing out on my radar right now. But the past 2 seasons, I think it's been like everyone's been like, okay, like where can this team go? This team, though, Jared, this is a national championship roster, in my opinion, and that is going to be the expectation if everybody stays healthy. I know there's some injuries here and there, and a couple of these freshmen, I think, also have injuries at the moment. So health is going to be, of course, a part of it. But depth-wise, this is the kind of rotations that we've gotten accustomed to seeing, and I'm excited to see it play out.
Yeah, same here. It's going to be a fun roster to watch.
Going to be a fun roster to watch. And speaking of, one of these players' parents is scheduled to join me on this podcast in the coming days, so we will have another interview hopefully coming up in just a few days for you guys. I'm not going to tell you who just now because I've jinxed myself in the past with interview spoilers, but looking forward to bringing you guys another interview with one of these Gamecock parents in the next few days. But Jared, it was another great season. It always flies by. Yeah. It feels like Grand Canyon was just here the other day.
Yeah.
But I love college basketball. I love covering this team, and I don't know. I'm always sad when it's over, but it'll be here before you know it. November Paris will be here before we know it. Jared, anything else before we leave?
No, that's all. I think I've yapped to my heart's content.
We love yapping here on the sideline. He's Jared Parker. I'm Matt Dowell. As always, make sure you guys like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Amazon Music. We'll see you next time here on the sideline.